I turned him into a monster and I hope I can change him back to the man he once was. This is going to be a bit long, but this is acting as a way for me to vent and ask for other waywards for advice in fixing my marriage. It's been going on 7 months since my husband discovered my affair. The both of us are 39 and my husband before discovery was sweet. He's not a perfect man, he has his quirks, but I was his world. Our family was his world. He worked long hours to make sure I stayed home and raise our son and daughter. He would always do these sweet things just to brighten my day, and it did. My husband was the opposite. In high school, he was rude, charming, and obnoxious, used to get into a lot of fights, and had a lot of girlfriends, and yet for some reason, the summer before senior year, he wanted to talk to me. I was the nerdy girl into video games, comic books, and cosplay. He was always nice to me ever since he moved into our town in 8th grade. He was different, his family was different, and everyone wanted to hang out with him. I was invited to my first party because of him. He taught me how to dance salsa and then he fell with the popular crowd and I thought that was it. But that summer he walked into the comic shop I was working in and just hung out all day talking to me and even walked me home. One day became many and we were dating by summer's end. I had the greatest senior year of my life. I was part of the popular crowd, and I went to so many parties, but my favorite moment was when it was just the two of us. Of course, I never slacked off. I studied hard and I made him study with me. We both got into the same college and we were married shortly after graduation. Our son came a year and a half later and our daughter 20 months after that. My husband worked hard for us during all this. He had trouble finding a job because he had no experience, so he worked odd jobs in construction, grave digging, janitorial, and as a receptionist, until he found a company that would give him a chance as a computer tech. My husband put on a lot of weight during that time, but it never decreased his intimacy. As for me, I kept my figure and maintained it, and soon we looked like a cartoony couple. A fat, yet a muscular man with a slender, fit wife. We even dressed as Barney and Betty Rubble one Halloween that emphasized that cliché. It's not like he didn't work out, he just had a hard time losing the body fat, but his intimacy appetite was always high. For me, it was decreasing. It's not like I didn't want to do the dirty, it's just that I wasn't in the mood, and as the years passed I wasn't in the mood for intimate favors as well. I was always tired. The kids really drained me, cooking and cleaning really drained me. Yes, he did help with the laundry, cooking, and cleaning. Made sure Saturday was takeout day and Sunday was daddy cook day, but I was still tired and not in the mood. I used to love it when he took it from me, but I still gave him more no's than yes. It would affect his mood the longer we didn't have it. He'll snap and complain, and when we did do the dirty, he would turn it into a marathon and I would hate it because I would be sore for the next week and he would still want more. He would ask me to cosplay for him and I didn't want to do it. However, he had no issues wearing the costumes I made him for comic and video game conventions, knowing that he really hated it. Our lack of intimacy was a big issue for him. We even went to couple counseling and our counselor said my husband was a borderline addict, but only wanted to have intimacy with me. I then had myself checked out and from my examination, it turned out that I have low estrogen and was even given several medications for it, but it still didn't work. My doctor soon told me that I was suffering from female impotence, something that I thought was made up. The affair wasn't planned. It wasn't romantic or something grandiose, it wasn't something that happened. I was out with my friends. We're all married, we all go to the same church, and we were just bowling and having fun. It was the first time since the lockdowns we got together and we just had a blast. At the end of the game, all the ladies left, and instead of going home, I went to the lounge so I can wait out the buzz I had, and that was where I met my affair partner. He was young, in his early 20s, and he noticed I was reading a manga on my phone and we began talking. I wished I could blame it on the alcohol, but I was only buzzed. I wish I could blame it on being lonely, but my husband always wanted me and gave me plenty of attention. I wish I could say I had an unhappy marriage, but we were very happy. In all honesty, I still don't know why I did it. I mean, I know how it happened. We talked for a few hours, he flirted and I flirted back, he walked me to my car and he kissed me. Instead of pushing him away, I kissed him back and we did the dirty in the motel next door. But I don't know why I did it. It didn't last that long. We just went at it and was very unsatisfying. About halfway through I realized what I was doing and I shoved him off of me, apologized, got dressed, and left. When I came home, My husband was asleep with the kid on the sofa, and I went into the shower and cried about what I did. I told myself it was a mistake and it would never happen again. When I came out of the shower, I let my husband and kids sleep on the sofa, went to bed, curled up into a ball, and cried myself to sleep. The next day, I wanted to tell him the truth, but I was too scared. So I pretended it never happened. For 5 weeks I pretended it never happened, and I soon realized I was late. I took a pregnancy test and it showed positive, and I couldn't understand how. My husband and I did do the dirty twice, but he had a vasectomy and I made sure the night of the affair that man wore a rubber, and even so, he never finished. I went to the doctor and it turned out I was pregnant. Which created a very awkward conversation. We came to the conclusion that the man must have removed the rubber, and the doctor was telling me how it could have been the pre-kids that did it. I was scared, and I scheduled an abortion. I couldn't keep this child. I couldn't do that to him. I was planning to keep this a secret. I got home, cried, and steadied myself for when the kids got home, but my husband came home early. I forced out a smile when he came home, but he was looking at me with rage. Our health equity emailed him with a new claim on the insurance. He asked who was the father, and I started crying. He repeated himself and asked how long was the affair. I was truthful. I told him that it was a one-time thing and I pushed him off me, but he didn't believe me. So he repeated himself, but this time he yelled and it felt like it went through my body. I told him it was the truth and got extremely upset. This was the first time he have ever done this to me, but his eyes were bloodshot, and he was fighting back the tears. He wanted to know the details. What we did, what he looked like, where we met, and then called me a farming tool in Spanish before walking out of the house.